with the exception of Air India, no strategic privatization has taken place, any significant. Whether it is IDBI, Concor, SCI, banks. Why has your government sort of repeatedly kind of underperformed on this disinvestment aspect? I mean, is the thinking changing within the government? Are you looking at sort of strategic sales and not maybe offer to sell completely? Is there some shift in the thinking?
I would want you to, first of all, put that question into the frame that I have laid in the matter of public sector enterprises policy.
Right.
If a policy framework has been announced, and in that we have said that there are only core strategic sectors which government recognizes, where the government will be having a minimal presence. Right. And even in those sectors, private sector will be allowed to, or it will be completely open for them to participate in total. In the sense, there will not be any one sector, inclusive of the core strategic sector, which will be exclusively reserved for public sector, whereby consolidation will have to happen to make them big enough for a big country like India.
Yes.
Efficiencies will have to be brought in. Their values will have to be increased. So this question of yours will have to fit into that frame. I will not reverse any of the cabinet approved decisions.
Okay.
But at the same time, you should probably also have noticed that for each of them, we are working to make sure we are not allowing them to remain there till they are getting disinvested. Equally, we are working to make sure that their valuations are kept up, they are improved upon. That if you look at the public sector listed companies and their valuation in the market today, you see the kind of vibrancy which has been brought in into them. Their share values have gone up. The dividends are even much better than earlier.
Absolutely.
So, disinvestment is one thing, but bring in value to them and make sure that the markets look at them absolutely favorably.
No, in fact, the public sector companies have done really well, and public markets are also where they are. Would you consider sort of diluting your stake maybe to 49% in some of the companies? Thereby, they are not government owned, but at the same time, you have best of both the worlds. And the valuations could go up even further.
No, certainly. That is not something which has been denied earlier, meaning as a matter of policy. But in many ways, we are already, you will see periodically, the DPAM
yes.
Department which takes care of the disinvestment has slowly, in trickles, released a lot of government's shares into the market so that private ownerships can come in and they can take hold of those shares. So that is happening already, and we'll certainly like to make sure that greater participation, public ownership of
in companies like, let's say, SBI or ONGC,
yeah.
I mean, this could be another possibility.
Absolutely.
Thank you. One of the big ideas this budget, which struck to everyone as a big idea, has been the announcement of a corpus of 1 lakh crore, to provide interest-free or low-interest sort of loans for research and innovation. Can you elaborate a little bit on this? How will this work? Will there be a separate sort of entity managing this? How will it go forward?
Yes, certainly. I first of all would bring in a bit of a context to this. It's not as if we are doing it now for the first time. Earlier too, there were several funds within different departments like the science and technology. They had a CSIR, its own. Funds were all over the place. You had them doing supportive activities for innovation, each from their own side. 2 years ago, I remember announcing the National Research Foundation, which brought together all these thinly spread resources to one pool, and from there, each of the department would claim whatever they would want to fund in terms of innovation supportive activities. But what we've now done is, they may remain so, but the government would now bring in a kind of a institution or a vehicle which can take this 1 lakh crore, which will be given to them next few years in total, as an interest-free corpus amount. Using that, they can then identify innovation-related exercises which are happening in private sector, and fund them. I may give this interest-free 50-year loan to the corpus, but the managers of that fund will then decide to whom at what cost should they give it. The cost may vary depending on the risk factors and the judgment of the professionals who will manage it. But it's certainly a fund from where private innovation will be supported.
Got it. I'm sure you'll be asked this question in future, but the allocation for capital